My name is Stephen Harvey, and I wrote the play Death Wish. The inspiration came from my hours of watching different live action farce plays, like A Play That Goes Wrong or Here Lies Jeremy Troy. Plays that have a lot of moments with mistaken identities or misheard conversations, miscommunications. And then, of course, classic slapstick comedies like hitting people with doors and slamming your hand in the desk, those kinds of like things that just make you belly laugh. And the inspiration for the location was really about Neil's final monologue, where he says how wonderful it is, how freeing it is to be free of all responsibility. And often when I was very, very stressed out in college, I had this thought going down the interstate, looking at that wide old horizon, thinking I could just keep driving and not take the actual exit that I need and just keep going and just see how free that is to be in that one singular moment where no one in the world needs me at that time, and just thinking how free that is. And really trying to explore that in its extreme, which is to be dead but not be dead. So yeah, that's where it came from. Where did the 50s come from? I think really the business with the telephone really started to get me into a time point, because when you have a cell phone, there isn't so much of a ball and chain as there is with a corded phone. You can't go anywhere with that. There's a landline that rings, and you have to run in and answer it. And I think that's where the 1950s part started. And then also with the character, Mrs. Bronstein, she really did anchor it into the 1950s with her need to be a housewife. I think Doyle, because Doyle is the opposite of what Neil becomes. Doyle is so restricted in their role. They have to be where they have to be at a specific time, and they kind of create this cage themselves, because Doyle has obviously the opportunity to create a very simple funeral and does not. They go and swing for the fences and become very complicated, and all of those complications become more responsibilities. And because of that, they drive themselves crazy, thinking about all the things that they have to do to get this stuff right. And Neil is the opposite. Neil has nothing left to worry about because he's dead. His debts are cleared. Everyone thinks he's dead, and he can just walk off the face of the earth scot-free with a fresh start. And Doyle's the opposite. And just seeing how crazy that character can be is I wish I could play Doyle on the stage instead of writing it. But here we are. Yes, there was actually a lot, mostly with once you present a character with a lot of problems, and you have to think, there's no way that this character is going to get out of this. Specifically with the Arcady moments, with the mobster who comes in and kind of corners everyone, trying to weave in a narrow margin of escape where it's still believable, but also farcistical, or farcical, but also funny, all at the same time. I did hit some walls, and usually what I did to overcome that was I had a couple of trusted friends, and we read through it together. You know, them taking one part, me taking another, and then just sitting there after we had read the scene and us just kicking it down the road, saying, you know, it would be funny if this has happened, you know, and seeing how many giggles we got from the other person, and writing those things down, and then also just taking a break for a little bit, setting it down, not for too long, but setting it down for a few days, and seeing what kind of inspiration comes to me in the shower or in the car silently, and then rushing home to write that down. Yeah. Um, well, the title of the play is Death Wish, and it's supposed to be the pun of, you have a death wish, is where that comes from. The colloquialism is messed with everyone has this wish to be free of all things. That's what we're in the pursuit of. The ultimate pursuit of happiness is to be free of most of our responsibilities, so that we want our kids to be successful. Why? So that we don't have to worry about them. We want to have a lot of money in our old age. Why? So we don't have to worry about it. If we could get the opportunity to shrug off all of those things, we would do it in a heartbeat. But if we could stop and really analyze Doyle and really analyze Mrs. Bronstein and really see the decisions that we make in life are the chains that we bear. That's really what weighs us down. And if we really wanted to be free of all those things, you could stop and reevaluate what's really bringing you down and slowing you down and making you work harder than you really need to be. So hopefully people will come away from this analyzing and saying, maybe I don't really need that caterer. Maybe I don't really need that big band. And I could live happily with just something more simple. Write terrible plays. Write them. Just write them. Don't think for a minute that you're going to open up a notebook or open up an electric document and see that white piece of paper and then genius is going to pour out. Write terribly. That's the biggest tip that I can tell you. And also find friends that love you, because they will be the ones to read your stuff and they will be the ones to tell you honestly what works and what doesn't. Stay away from those echo chambers where they're just going to read it and say, oh my God, that was so good. Versus people that are actually going to challenge you, that are going to take your stuff in a new direction, that really excite you when you talk about your material, that you talk about your passion. But if you want to write, you will write for the sake of writing. So even if it's terrible, you did it anyway. And that's just with any talent, with anything. I would say the same thing. Just do it, even if it's terrible. Enjoy it. I guess just remember that with anything, even in the creative process, every single person that goes into this is a human being, from the writer to the actors to the director to all of the technicians that all come together and put it together. It's one of the reasons why theater has survived for so long, I think, is because human beings are coming together and really doing something. And if we stop and just think about the fact that human beings were the ones to write this and create this, it kind of takes away that mysticism of, oh my God, I couldn't have written anything that good. I'm a human being. I'm not this amazing thing. If you ever think that, or if you think that this was terrible, well, I'm a human being. I get to write terrible things. So that's what I would take away.